been through an entire year of remote operations and remote learning.
Yeah, I feel like compared to last year's Irwin group, like we have had a year-ish of like online classes, like online studio classes have been really strange. I think prior to like quarantine and COVID, I had been doing a lot of printmaking and like stuff that relied on having that access to the studios.
And I've been trying to work with this virtual space, kind of gets you down a little bit, not being able to see my classmates in person, not being able to like celebrate the reception in person. But I think that it's still such a wonderful opportunity, and I'm just happy to be able to participate in it.
I am proud to be a part of this second virtual Irwin show. It is amazing how tenacious everyone has been to continue and show work even in all of the challenges. And that's kind of one of those themes that Fabricating Solace shows to me. Is it's about intention, it's about perseverance, it's about finding a way to be content in what we have.
We've definitely had a lot of time to adapt to it. I think it still is obviously disappointing because we all would love to sort of collaborate in person. But I think it sort of lends like an interesting landscape for us to do this, and sort of the pandemic in itself and this sort of isolation we felt have created like this interesting set of challenges that I think we're tackling through the virtual world.
And I've never done an exhibition in person before, so I don't have a very good comparison. There's totally this element of kind of isolation from my peers' work, even just because I can't see what they're working on. I can't just like look over their shoulder and see what they're making.
I'm more of a hands-on person. I'd like to see people and meet them and actually have an intimate conversation, and that's really hard to work with other people when you're doing it online.
You can't really get around the medium that you're using to connect with your audience. And it's something that we've all throughout like the beginning of the pandemic have had to address in changing our practices to accommodate how our audience is understanding it, because a lot of them are physical spaces.
And feels really excited by the possibility that our work can be huge, because that seems like a privilege that you get once you are an established artist.
I'm super curious and trying to come up with ideas for how I want to display my artwork, because you're sort of given a lot of more creative freedom in the way that you can play with scale.
What the students really like about that aspect of it is that it's really easy to make their artwork even bigger than they imagined, or to rearrange it several times over.
This idea of transitioning the experience from in-person to online comes with different challenges, but it also allows for a different type of archivalness.
In this episode, we find ourselves still working in isolation due to ongoing COVID restrictions and without access to classrooms, offices, or numerous essential tools. But we do have a newfound hope that our lives are slowly returning to a new normal as the pandemic finally recedes. We're still on Zoom a lot these days too, and these interviews were conducted on that platform and therefore do have some sound variances.
We will start in just a moment. Hello everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the 35th anniversary of the Irwin Scholarship exhibition launch and award ceremony. You have been listening to the podcast, the Art of Change podcast, with the Irwin Scholars interviews conducted by Maureen Dixon Harrison, who's the Assistant Director of Arts Communications at UC Santa Cruz and the Arts Division. So my name is Shelby Graham, and I'm the director here at the Mary Porter Sesnon Art Gallery and at UC Santa Cruz. And I'm in the gallery right now, as well as in the virtual space of the Irwin Scholars. Before we begin, we'd like to start with a land acknowledgement by Dr. Rebecca Hernandez of the American Indian Resource Center here on campus.
My name is Dr. Rebecca Hernandez. I am the director of the UCSC American Indian Resource Center. It is my privilege to share the land acknowledgement with you today. UC Santa Cruz is located on the unceded territory of the Awaswa-speaking Yupi tribe. The Amamutsan tribal band, comprised of the descendants of indigenous people taken to missions Santa Cruz and San Juan Bautista during Spanish colonization of the Central Coast, is today working hard to restore traditional stewardship practices on these lands and heal from historical trauma.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hernandez. It's so beautiful to see the campus again, and I know we've all been missing that. Thank you all for coming, especially the families of the Irwin Scholars and to the Irwin alumni. I know many of you are in the audience today, so welcome back. Here are a few quick webinar housekeeping tips. We will be recorded, but all of you in the audience are off camera, so you don't have to worry about that. And this will be posted on our Sesnon YouTube channel after this performance. And we want you to know that we won't have time for the Q&A today, but we do have room in the chat. So please send your chats, and also, our Irwin Scholars will respond either now or later, and we'll save all the chats so they can answer you later. But now is the time to celebrate the Irwin Scholars 2021. So Irwin Scholars, please turn on your camera so we can all see you, please. And as you can see, these scholars are UC Santa Cruz, some of the most promising emerging artists here, and they're working in animation, painting, photography, printmaking, sculpture, installation, video, and many forms of digital media. And we'll introduce each artist shortly, so you can go ahead and turn your cameras off, everyone, and then we'll bring you back. I want to tell you a little bit about the scholarship. The William Hyde and Susan Benteen Irwin Scholarship Fund was established in 1986, so that was 35 years ago, just with a modest donation. And now it's grown to over $1 million and has 12 annual merit scholarships, as well as funds student projects. And the students are nominated by the art department faculty to submit a portfolio, and then they're selected by an all faculty vote. And Karolina Karlic will tell you more about that. This year's Irwin Scholars, as you know, have faced challenges locally and globally, as we've all experienced remote learning for the second year in a row. And Fabricating Solace really tells it like it is. These artists have worked independently as well as collectively, and they're trying to find comfort and in creating support for each other every day. And each year we are impressed, and this year is no exception. The students have gone above and beyond. And the Sesnon Gallery continues to encourage interdisciplinary discourse through the lens of the arts. And I just want to thank a few people here. Let me just take a sip. I'd love to thank Louise Leong. She's our Sesnon Gallery manager. And we couldn't have done this without her. She gave weekly agendas for all our meetings. We stayed on track. And then the other person is Colleen Jennings. Colleen Jennings is our digital arts coordinator who created this beautiful virtual exhibition that you'll see soon in the tour. And I'd like to thank the Arts Division and the Art Department for sponsoring this exhibition. And now it's time to introduce our fabulous Interim Dean of the Arts. And if you could turn on your camera, this is the Interim Dean of the Arts and Professor of Dance in the Theater Arts Department here, Ted Warburton is here. And thank you, Ted. It's been a pleasure working with you over the past few years. And we couldn't have survived these uncertain times really without your leadership and willingness to step in and speak up for the arts on campus. So thank you, Ted.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Shelby, and thank you all for attending. My name is Ted Warburton. I'm the Interim Dean of the Arts at UC Santa Cruz, and it is my honor to welcome you to the UC Santa Cruz Mary Porter Sesnon Art Gallery's virtual opening of Irwin 2021, Fabricating Solace. Congratulations, Irwin scholars. I thank you sincerely for supporting one another and for keeping our student and family communities safe and connected. As you all know, much has changed in the last year and a half in the world, in our broader community at UC Santa Cruz and here in the arts. But what has not changed is the tireless effort from so many on behalf of our students. The themes addressed by this exhibition, Fabricating Solace, raise incredibly important issues and join important conversations that are taking place on our campus and in our communities. Before I turn the program back to Shelby Graham, I want to acknowledge the incredible effort it has taken our student artists and interns who have been working remotely to bring this exhibition to life. Students are why we are here, and they also make all we do possible. Thank you all so much. I also want to thank Associate Professor Karolina Karlic, the Irwin faculty advisor, and Li Young, the Sesnon Gallery manager, who's working right now behind the scenes to make this webinar run smoothly, along with all of our arts events office. And of course, a big thank you to Colleen Jennings, our digital arts technical coordinator for the arts division and UCSC MFA alum who built the virtual model for this stunning exhibition. And to Shelby Graham, the Sesnon Gallery director and curator. You have made the Sesnon and this incredible Irwin Scholars exhibition what they are today. On behalf of our student and faculty in particular, thank you for your commitment to our students, to the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and for your vision. We are indebted to you for your many years of service and leadership here in the Sesnon. I'm also pleased to share with you some of what's happening in the arts, even as we continue to practice social distancing. The good news is that our donors and our friends continue to generously support our students in basic needs, such as funding of medical expenses and purchasing of equipment needed to complete coursework. Through these gifts and through other programs such as funding from the U.S. CARES Act, the Arts Division continues to support our students, faculty, and staff across the campus and beyond. So I invite you to stay in contact with us, whether it's through a contribution to the UCSC's COVID-19 Slug Support Campaign, which provides direct financial relief to our students, or by joining us in an upcoming virtual event, or just simply by reaching out to let us know how you are doing. We want to stay in contact with you. It is my pleasure to have partners on and off campus that care as much about the arts as we do at the Sesnon Gallery in the Arts Division at UC Santa Cruz. So I'm going to conclude my remarks with one more big thank you to our students, to our professors, to our incredible staff and families who have supported this exhibition. Congratulations, 2021 Irwin Scholars. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you, Ted. This has been just so great. So what we're going to do next, and Louise is going to help me, we're going to share a screen and we are going to give you a tour, a virtual tour of the gallery. Just like an opening. You know, we want you to see the work before we talk to the scholars. So when you click on the link to launch the virtual gallery, it will take a minute to load. So give it a minute to load. And then we want you to walk right through the front door. So go ahead, Louise is going to walk us through the front door. You can click on that arrow key. And as you see, we have our title wall, Fabricating Solace, the Irwin Show 2021, with a list of all the artists. And there's a little pop-up menu, that little black label there that has the information, and it shows Chloe Calhoun's work right to the left. And if that label gets in the way, you can always click on the floor or something and it goes away. And that's always handy to know how to do that. And Louise will show you how to zoom in if you want to zoom in and see incredible work. This piece by Chloe Calhoun is called Where I End. And you can zoom in as close as you want on that. And then when you're ready to go to the next, there's a little arrow key down below, and you can just move around to the other side of the room. And here's another piece by Chloe Calhoun. And this is a beautiful plate lithograph on Kozo paper. You can see how the rich black that's in there. And then we have information about the Irwin Scholarship, as I talked to you before. So that's really nice to have that title wall. Then you click on to the next, and this will take you into our next room. And this is the work by Sydney Geisinger. And Sydney did a fabulous installation with dirt included. So, you know, we'll have to water the plants in here. But you'll see there's 2 videos embedded in the wall. And there's little arrow keys are to denote the videos. But if you'd like to play the videos, you go over to the label over to the side. And there's a little link that says click here, you know, video link. We're not going to do that right this minute. We're going to show the videos at the end of this walkthrough, so you'll get to see those all in a row. And then over to the right, you'll see, actually just go back to Sydney's. She has a piece called Let's Talk About White Privilege. These are some powerful graphic pieces that lead to a website. And so I really encourage you all to check those out and click on the link to the website. And then as you move further into the room, we can look at the work of Cassidy Skillman right here, these beautiful reduction woodcuts. And Cassidy really tackles climate change and neglected places. This is the Flint water crisis on the left, and to the right is another neglected places called Below the Offshore Rig. And these are large-scale reduction woodcuts on Kozo paper. And I encourage you to ask Cassidy more about this. And each artist will tell a little story about their work as they're speaking later today. And then as we turn around the room, we're going to encounter Saul Villegas, this huge photographic mural, which we couldn't do in person, but he's able to make a huge wall mural as well as a 3D model coming out with links to a virtual hub or a virtual, basically a website with another exhibition on it. So look on his label, on Saul's label, you'll see these links, and we'll show you a little video clip later to show you what those look like. And then as you move around the room, we come to the work of Abby McPhillips. And thank you, Abby. Abby was so flexible. We had to change walls during the middle of the installation, but she was very accommodating. And as you can see, this work is called Landmark. They're watercolor and water-based woodcut prints. So these works talk to across the room, and you can zoom in. And in the middle of all these landmark pieces is a piece called Confusion. And so, Abby was really able to bring in kind of what's happening now in everyone's lives, as well as a concern for the environment. And then you can click to the next. And I'm moving quickly. I want you to come back to this. And if you ever go through a wall accidentally in the virtual world, don't worry, just push through the wall and go to the next room and you'll be fine. And so in this room, we have Caroline Alfonso, and these are some really stunning self-portraits that are made digitized slide film. So she's working in, they're working in slide film and just doing some incredible work called flipping out. So I do encourage you to look at each piece and then ask questions to Caroline on this. And then as you go around the room, there's another piece by Caroline Alfonso called The Echo Chamber. And these are really powerful pieces. Once again, digitized film, and talking about the inability to communicate. So it's really powerful work. You can zoom in to see the details on this. Really, really beautiful pieces. And then in the same room, we have the work right around the corner of Klytie Xu. And these are a really fascinating series, or a diagram series called Entering the Through Surface. And it's from a book from Klytie's grandmother that talks about things that are lost in translation. So it really does have an interesting story. So please examine this work and click on the link to see the website. And Louise is going to do a little tutorial as we, at the very end of this, that helps you walk through this virtual model. And then as you click on the next arrow, you'll move on into the next room. And this is a fun room. And this is actually right behind the title wall. And this room is by Louisa Balderas. And it's a video installation room with 4 videos titled Year 1, Year 2, Year 3, and Year 4. And we're going to show clips of those in a moment. But I love the fact that, she asked if we could put a yellow couch and yellow walls, and we can just say yes. In the virtual world, we can find these things, and we even asked Colleen to pop out a wall. So it's really fantastic. Thank you. And then on the other side of this room, we pull back and we have another living room installation with a TV and a nice couch. So we invite you to sit down here. And this is the work by Kalen Meeks. And they have done incredible video animation that just wait till we see these clips in a moment. One of them is called The Friend Collector up there on the wall, and the second one is called Burnout there on that retro TV, and you'll see the power of that animation in a moment. Then go ahead and click on the link and move on to the next room. And this is the work by Lucinda Gold. And they've done incredible work. You almost have to zoom into these. On the top row is Hang Me Out to Dry. This is a triptych with ballpoint pen. And if any of you have ever tried to do a drawing with ballpoint pen, it's very difficult. And these are a triptych on clayboard. And then on the bottom, we have a series called Fighting, Flighting, and Feeling. And those are really powerful pieces reflecting the times in which we live, as well as a place for you to sit down and lean against these pillows, these embroidered pillows on the wall, and read the zine. There's a little zine on the floor, and Louise is zooming in there, and that is kind of hard to do. But in the link, if you click on the annotation, you'll be able to see a link to the zine and see that annotation pops up, and there's a little link right there. So, and this is really our room of the faculty gallery. So if you look into the next room or the next corner, we see the work by Cassidy Skillman. Again, her work is so large, we put it in 2 rooms, and this is called Closed for Restoration, about the Guggenheim. You can see that on the left, and then Closed for Restoration, the New York MoMA. These are all water-based reduction woodcuts, once again, large wood block prints. So please check out those and see the link to all the information about the work. And as we move around the room, we come into Zoe Forsyth's work. And in this room, we see, or in this wall, we see a huge mural, which was based off a painting that Zoe did, the largest painting she's ever accomplished, she said. And then she was able to digitize it and create it as a wall mural, as well as including some of her photographic work. Her photographic series up on the top there is all called Sticky, Dark Red, Bloody Yarn. So I encourage you to just zoom into these and ask Zoe questions about that when you get to talk to her. And then as we swing around the room with one more artist here, this incredible work by Connor Alexander. And if you can zoom in to the details, these are oil on canvas. So when you zoom in, you can actually see the canvas texture. And this series is called Flowers in -1 and -2, and then Transition and Binder. And Connor's work was on the cover, the lead story with all of the Irwin scholars about the Irwin show that's on our Tuesday News Day. And so please, we'll put the link in the chat for that article, but please check out these paintings and feel free to zoom in. That's one of my favorite parts of the virtual world. And as we move along, we're going to go to the next piece, and this is outside. This is Saul Villegas again, but we're able to make a huge photographic mural with a link and a sphere, and then we're going to, show you later the link to some of these virtual landscapes. So I think I'm going to hand it over to Louise. Louise will tell you some key points of how to navigate. Does that sound good?
Hey everyone. Yes, so I'll just go ahead and show you the Sesnon gallery. The virtual gallery is a rich experience. I will say that it's optimally viewed from either a computer or a tablet, just so you have a bigger frame rather than using your smartphone. So the easiest way to navigate is the way we just did the walkthrough, which is at this black bar menu on the bottom. You can either toggle between the left and right. However, if there's a specific artist whose work you'd like to see, you click in the center where their name is, and you can scroll down and it's listed by artist name. So for example, if we go back to Sydney Geisinger's work here, I wanted to point out again that for these video works, the links are actually embedded in the annotations. So these numbers, they bring up a second pop-up menu that has more information, including the media of the work, some explanation or extended captions about each piece, as well as links to the works themselves if you're viewing video work. You'll notice that there's also a link for each artist's name. And what this brings you to is an artist profile on the Sesnon website that includes biographies and artist statements. So the way that you can navigate the 3D gallery is using your cursor to turn left and right. You can zoom by using your trackpad to move in or out. And another way that I'll point out that you can navigate this 3D gallery is at the very bottom right corner, there's a gear button that you can click to open the settings. And right now I'm in the orbit navigation, so I can move the axis of how I'm viewing things. But if you go back to the gear and navigation, there's a first person option. And for some people, this might be a little more intuitive in that you're using the directional keys on your keyboard to move in and out while also utilizing your mouse to move the direction that you're staring at. So all these instructions are listed on our website where you can view the 3D gallery. And we do have a walkthrough autopilot that you can also use that will give you an approximation of what we just did with Shelby. So thank you all.
Thank you, Louise. That was fabulous. Also, yeah, please feel free to send us any questions if you have trouble accessing the virtual gallery. So now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Karolina Karlic, the Associate Professor of Art in Photography and founder of Unseen California, a visual platform for research using the UC Natural Reserve System. So now we'll hear a few words from Karolina before the scholars. Thank you, Karolina.
Thank you so much, Shelby. Wow, it's amazing to see everyone's work come together in the virtual gallery. And I do hope that everyone spends time individually going through and seeing the work of our Irwin scholars. My name is Karolina, and I'm really honored to be the faculty advisor for our Irwin scholars this year. Dear Irwin scholars, the art department has recognized your creative practice as outstanding. Congratulations for being here today to celebrate this great achievement. Although your role as a scholar does not come to an end today. In 3 steps, it's now time for your last assignment. First, as an artist, you will continue to foster creative, constructive communities as you did here in the UCSC art department. As you all know, this unique, diverse, and socially responsible family that you have all become a part of is one that you will carry with you for the rest of your lives. You are tasked with sharing this gift with your peers as you navigate new horizons. Secondly, as an artist, you will continue to be stewards of the arts. Stewardship is the role of taking care of something. You, each and every one of you, represent the power that the arts have in our lives. You are tasked with carefully and diligently carrying out this responsibility of stewardship in your creative practice. And thirdly, as an artist, you will continue to listen. This part of the assignment may seem like the easiest, but perhaps it is the most challenging. Dear Irwin scholars, listen to your voice. 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 Listen to your vo to your heart, and to the loved ones around you. Listen to what the world demands of you and use your creative self in response. You have everything you need right now at this very moment. Again, congratulations on being role models for future generations. Lastly, I want to give a very big special thank you to Shelby Graham, who has served our arts community and the art department and the entire arts division and campus as the director and curator of the Sesnon Gallery for over 20 years. Thank you for all of your service and all of your curatorial work, Shelby. And now I'd like to introduce the scholars. Congratulations to the 2021 Irwin Scholars: Abby McPhillips, Caroline Alfonso, Cassidy Skillman, Chloe Calhoun, Connor Alexander, Kalen Meeks, Klytie Xu, Louisa Balderas, Lucinda Gold, Saul Villegas, Sydney Geisinger, and Zoe Forsyth. And now we'll hear from the first scholar, Abby McPhillips.
Hi, I just want to say how excited I am to be a part of this show and to have my work among so many amazing artists and to have worked with them for the past couple of months. I'd also like to give a big thank you to Shelby and Louise for helping out and just putting together this amazing show and putting up with us and all of our requests. You guys are amazing. I'm so proud of each and every one of the artists in the show, and it's amazing how we are able to pull off something completely digitally and never in person. This year has been, I think, really unique for all of us. Living through a pandemic, I think, really enforces a time of self-reflection. And in this exhibit, I really wanted to express the exploration of self and the inevitable change that goes with it. Comfort was something that I had to find within myself instead of others, or the life that I knew before pandemic. It was all routine, and we kind of had to find a new routine within ourselves. And I just hope through my pieces I'm able to express that journey towards solace and the process it takes to achieve it in a time of solitude. And I'd like to introduce the next artist, Caroline Alfonso.
Sorry about that. Hi everyone. Thanks for coming to our show. It's been such a difficult time to be a student and artist, but we somehow made it through this year. So congrats to my fellow scholarly slugs. I was making a lot of different things this year to try and cope with this pandemic and their losses in my life, but none of them presented themselves as clearly as this photo project I'm sharing today. In a moment of desperation, I became semi-obsessed with ostriches and their gentle idiocy, but I realized I had been mirroring a lot in my own life. There was a lot of hiding and keeping my head down, but this project helped me do that with more intentionality, and that helped me get out of the holes I was digging for myself. That being said, I wouldn't be making work like this if UCSC hadn't shown me the importance of creative outlets, no matter how silly or serious they may be. So thank you to the Irwin family for recognizing this lifeline and encouraging young artists like myself to pursue it and cling to it. And thank you to Shelby and Louise and Colleen for helping us put it all together. I know I wouldn't be here without the help of some amazing people, so I wanted to thank Karolina, Karlic, and Dee Hibbert-Jones for letting me latch on to their expertise and loveliness. I don't know where I would be without my art practice, and so I thank you once again for helping me find these tools to better express and articulate all the nonsense that goes on in this fun little brain of mine. I also want to thank Norman Locks and Enrique Leal for going out of their way to help me create work during the pandemic. Their kindness really speaks to the community here at UCSC, and I'm really going to miss it. I need to thank the community outside of the art department, my housemates, my friends that have been my models, my muses, my PAs, my photographers, my closest confidants, Lou, Louie, Ava, Jules, Andrea, Claire, Taylor, Emma. I thank you for dealing with me and letting me shove a camera in your face. You make my world better. Want to shout out Klytie Xu, one of my closest friends and favorite collaborators. Thank you for the constant inspiration and openness. I'll see you in the void. And to my parents, or parent now, I love you and thank you for always supporting me, even in my decision to pursue art. You showed me the complexities of the world and you gave me the strength to dive headfirst into it. So thank you, Mom. I love you. I love you, Dad. And thank you for coming to this show. It means a lot. I'd like to introduce the lovely Cassidy Skillman.
Thank you, Caroline. My name is Cassidy Skillman, and I'm a printmaker and a sculptor. I'm speaking to you from the unceded lands of the Bay Miwok tribes, or what is now commonly referred to as the East San Francisco Bay Area. I would first and foremost like to thank the ones who have made this show possible. I want to show my utmost respect and gratitude to the Irwin family for this opportunity. I want to thank the Arts Division and the department, as well as the professors Jameen Lee, Enrique Leal, and Lori Palmer. I would like to thank Shelby and Louise at the Sesnon Art Gallery for their guidance and support through this learning experience, and to each of the amazing people behind the scenes. I also want to thank my family and friends for always supporting my craft. I want to thank my mom, dad, and brother for always supporting my art journey. And I want to show my gratitude for the best studio helper a person could ask for, my dad. And I want to thank Toru Sugita, my print professor from Diablo Valley College, for introducing me to the UCSC print department. In fall of 2019, I transferred from Diablo Valley College in Pleasant Hill, California, striving to create and expand my understanding of studio arts and printmaking. In the 5 months I attended school on campus, I was able to see the unbelievable endurance of the Banana Slug community. A month before the COVID-19 lockdown, I began printing 2 ongoing series of reduction woodcut prints called Closed for Restoration and Neglected Places in the UCSC printmaking facility. The concepts for each series grew to become forms of institutional critique, as well as a reminder of the importance of environmental and social awareness. The series Closed for Restoration critiques the lack of transparency of the funding behind well-known art institutions. The series Neglected Places explores forms of environmental and social mistreatment and neglect. I brought these prints home when virtual school stretched into the majority of 2020. I have had to come to terms with the adjustment of plans and work left unfinished. I began printing all works by hand, and I had to adjust my expectations and recognize that the production of high quality work isn't limited to a studio facility. With the help of the Irwin Scholarship, I have been able to continue these series in the same scale and quality. As I'm eager to learn more about printmaking, I will be attending the School of Art Institute of Chicago to pursue an MFA in print media this fall. Through many challenges, we as Irwin scholars have all persevered and shown strength through the power of art. I am proud to display my prints on the virtual walls next to these wonderful scholars. So thank you all for coming to support the Irwin 2021 Fabricating Solace. Now, I get the pleasure to introduce Chloe Calhoun.
Thank you, Cassidy. I'd like to thank the Irwin family for giving me this opportunity, Shelby, Louise, and everyone who made this virtual event happen, my professors for pushing my work further and for recognizing me for this scholarship, my boyfriend and family for always supporting my art and the value of art, and my fellow Irwin scholars for being such hardworking collaborators through such difficult circumstances. This show and the prints I created for it gave me a chance to find comfort in creation and in the perseverance of artists after a year of isolation and loss of direction. My works grapple with a sense of paralysis and helplessness, feeling a loss of control over my life, but still having to face the consequences. I visualize this in images of bodily transformation, physical alteration of human figures from within and without. And now I would like to introduce Connor Alexander.
Thank you, Chloe. To start off, I'd like to thank all of the people that have supported me in my work. So that means friends, family, peers, mentors, and the people who made the show possible as well. And I also want to thank Melissa Gwynn for helping me take my work to the next level. Especially like to thank my fellow Irwin peers. It's not easy to be an artist and put your beliefs, heart, and soul on display for the world to see. I've learned a lot from all of you, and it's been a pleasure working with you for the last few months. All of you absolutely deserve recognition and respect for the work that you do, the work that you've done, and the work that you'll continue to put out there. Now I want to share some words about my own body of work. Flowers are often used as a metaphor for femininity and gender. In my work here, flowers are depicted in negative, blocked off, and otherwise appear in unconventional ways. In reality, flowers only occupy gender as a fabrication. A flower isn't inherently feminine. This is simply an idea assigned to them. In this way, flowers represent the construct of gender and how it's a concept not necessarily inherent of anyone. The smokescreen of personal bias, when we look at something's physical appearance, gets in the way of seeing its true nature. I find comfort in the fact that gender is a construct and it's something that is personally discovered rather than something that others force upon you. Conviction in identity is something that's created, but at the same time, something that's absolutely real and tangible. Thank you all again. And now I'd like to introduce Kalen Meeks.
Thank you, Connor. I wish I went first because everyone that went before me made me cry. I'd like to start off by thanking the Irwin family for the opportunity and the continued support of all of us students. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you to everyone at the Sesnon, Louis Leong, Shelby Graham, Karolina, Karlic, Colleen Jennings for the help against all of the chaos and challenges throughout the past year. Thank you to my professors, Elliot Anderson, D. Hibbert Jones, for the nomination and the support throughout the past quarter. I would not have done it without you. Congratulations to all my fellow scholars. I'm so honored to be in your midst and to be working with such a group of diverse talent, truly. My work for the Irwin is 2 different stop motion pieces, which is my most recent endeavor. There's 2 pieces. The first one is The Friend Collector, which is an animation that manifests a childhood memory of mine through little deer and their experiences of friendship and loss. And the second one is Burnout, which is my more recent piece, which is sort of a great struggle for me. It depicts the feelings of sort of self-isolation and agoraphobia that the pandemic has brought. I think it's sort of been my way of exploring my relationship with this period of isolation and the ways in which the sort of media I've been consuming through my phone and lack of connection to the real world have sort of altered my perception of reality. I'm very excited for you guys to see my work, and I would love to introduce my next scholar, Klytie Xu.
Hi everyone. Thank you for coming to see our show. For many of us, this is one of our first art shows ever, and to be able to do this even during this time is so special. Thank you to Shelby, Louise, Colleen, and my fellow Irwin scholars for their support in making this possible. Thanks to the Irwin family as well. I want to thank my mentors, Laurie Palmer and D. Hibbert Jones, for their generosity and wisdom. My relationship to art has shifted over the years and more rapidly in the recent month. Thank you for your guidance and conversations through it all. Thank you for showing me beyond my own self-imposed constraints and the possibilities of art in ways I never considered before. Thank you for believing in me. I want to also thank the color study group, and that includes Natalie, Edgar, Jocelyn, Sophie, etc. I'm so lucky to have found a group of people I trust and admire. Thank you for providing the space to talk and listen and create. Thank you to Caroline Alfonso. Thank you for showing me the importance of play and for being the best collaborator and friend. Cheers to our echo chamber. Thanks to my partner, Sam, for his patience and unwavering encouragement. And lastly, my deepest thanks to my family. My work as an artist is hugely shaped and inspired by my parents and my grandparents, including the project I am showing today, which is dedicated to them. This is for the persistence of their courage to be compassionate and honest people in this world. I wouldn't be here without them. Thanks for pushing me to be better. And thanks again to everyone who is here. And now I'd like to introduce the wonderful Louisa Balderas.
Thank you, Klytie. Hello, my name is Louise. That's what my parents and my family calls me, but I go by Louisa too. My piece is the room with the yellow curtain and yellow couch with 4 images, each representing the videos. The first image is the hallway of my first year dorm. And the second is my friend riding a bus during a sunset. Third is my partner and my pandemic kitty. And then the fourth is outside of a motel room when I needed emergency housing this past February. Each video is a collection of snapshot memories throughout my college career. I wanted to create a piece about remembering. Some I can remember so clearly and loudly, and some barely making an image. A few things I remember during my first year was that I was a part of a rugby team. I was a proposed anthropology major and was heavily dependent on alcohol and weed. I remember my friends coming up to visit during my birthday. I remember taking a drawing class and breaking down because I didn't know how to draw a perfect circle. So I dropped out after the first class. I remember the fire drills, running after the loop bus, the smell of wildfires, and when the pandemic shut everything down. And most recently, I remember moving in and out of 5 different spaces during this past December and finally finding a safe space in March. And as I end my 4th year, I am finishing my arts and economics degree, and I have been a part of a student-led educational sustainable program and heavily dependent on my pandemic cat. And later, my 3rd and 4th videos will be presented. I hope that you feel safe and cozy in the virtual room. And lastly, I want to say thank you. Thank you for the Irwin family for giving us the funding and support to create this amazing opportunity of creating a show. Thank you to the art department and all the art professors I've taken studios with. I wanted to thank all the beautiful Irwin scholars for fabricating solace with me. Thank you, Louise and Shelby, for always checking in and making sure everyone was doing okay, not only with our pieces, but also our well-being. And I wanted to say thank you to my friends, housemates, family, who have always been there for me and supportive, especially when I feel like my art is trash. You say otherwise. My partner and my cat for always being so patient, loving, my perfect art models. And lastly, I want to thank you, Professor Karolina, for remembering me all the way back when I took your intro to photography class 4 years ago. Thank you for pushing me to be a better artist and the artist I am, not what people expect me to be. And thank you for coming to our show. And now I'd like to introduce Lucinda Gold.
Hi, thank you all for being here. It's wild that you're all invisible. So what ended up on my gallery wall are a series of 4 mixed media drawings, mainly ballpoint pen and colored pencil, and some embroidered pillowcases, coupled with an incredibly lengthy, really chaotic zine that I compiled from work I made throughout the pandemic. It's filled with scanned drawings, collages, paintings, and embroidery, and some poetry from the dearest friend of mine. Overall, my work is about change and the power that comes with the realization that despite what we're told, we have full autonomy over our bodies and the way that we perform in the world. I hope that these pieces speak to everyone in a different way. I've always thought that drawing and just making in general is a radical act, and the ability to create new worlds, new people, a portal outside of reality is a really magical escape, and I'm so lucky to have it. Okay, so on to thank yous. Thank you so much to Louise, Shelby, and Colleen for accommodating us all and being so thoughtful and caring. I would like to thank my professor, Dee Hibbert-Jones, for helping me settle into a really interesting intersection between the personal and political in my work. Thank you for giving me so much of your time. You were the first professor that I felt comfortable enough sharing my most unrefined, unthought through ideas, feelings, sketches. Because of this trust and comfortability, I finally feel like my personal drawings are worth sharing. You're truly the most gentle yet honest, critical professor I've come to know. Thank you for being there. This year would have been so different without you. And thank you to my wise and pragmatic printmaking professor, Enrique Leal, who never failed to stay late with me to help recreate work that I messed up the first time. And for Jameen Lee, who cares so deeply about student success and can see the potential in every single student. And thank you to Jason Greenberg for forgiving me every time that I turned in an independent study form late. And I owe a thank you to Barbara Benish and Lori Palmer for being such gentle and understanding professors who met me exactly where I was. Thank you to my mom for taking me to museums on the weekends, for paper macheing my face, for putting me into drawing classes in high school, for taking me to the art store, and for being my most honest critic and rescuing me from my own anxiety. And Dad, thank you for being my IT, for being the least patronizing explainer in the entire world. He is the most gentle genius. It was such an immense privilege to have a solid roof over my head and such creativity inside of that home. Thank you. Thank you to every friend who helped convince me that I'm not crazy, just passionate, especially Caroline, Zoe, Klytie, Irma, everyone in the print studio, Emma, my sister Maggie, Emmett, oh man, my entire house of 9 people. My friends are geniuses, and I can't wait to see where our work ends up. I love our generation, and I can't wait for us to take over the world and make it a sweeter, queerer, more compassionate place to be. And thank you to the Irwin family for giving us all the financial means to create during the worst year of our lives. Thank you, guys. And with that, I will pass it to Saul Villegas.
Thank you, Lucinda. I would like to start off and thank the Irwin family for being such a generous supporter for the arts. I also like to thank the art department for selecting me and all the faculty that were essential in helping with the nomination process. I also want to give a shout out to Jameen Lee, who was my first faculty sponsor. And I'm never gonna forget the way that she was just so generous with her skills and her knowledge of how to navigate art practice and research. And I think that because I encountered her, I was really able to navigate other proposals for other projects. So I really wanted, say that I miss taking her courses. I was fortunate enough to be able to be in person and do the printmaking class with her. And so thank you, Jimmy Lee. And also on the faculty list, I have a lot of faculty I would like to thank, but specifically Beth Stevens, Jennifer Parker, Katie Perry. Thank you for all of your support and guidance in all of my work that I've done here at UCSC. And also thanks to the Sesnon Gallery team for putting this all together. You all made an amazing 3D model, but not only that, the support that came with the process of getting all of this together. I just want to thank everyone on that team, and also to all the other scholars. Your work is amazing, and I'm honored to be in such a good environment with these scholars. So I want to just mention that my work was a response to being able to, I guess, create a new reality based on the circumstances that had happened when everything shut down with the pandemic. It really changed the way I thought about the university system, specifically like libraries, knowledge-based systems. I used to love going to McHenry Library. That was my spot where I would love to, I would get books and be inspired by new ways of thinking and documentations of archives. And when that was taken away, I just thought, how are artists able to present their work, or how are we able to communicate, ideas in archives, and what does this mean? So I think in the virtual landscape, I was really fascinated when I was a part of another show called What Makes Us Human. And that show, Open Lab, Collaborative Research Center, and the Sesnon Gallery presented that as a way to show these virtual art and science related projects. And I think because of that successful way of presenting exhibition and artist work, I thought that it would only be appropriate for me to navigate that. So that's what my work's about, is navigating an immersive way to showcase artwork, projections, images, and kind of just give you a different feel of the virtual internet world. So yeah, that's all I have to say. And again, thanks for everyone. And now I will pass it to Sydney Geisinger.
Thank you, Saul. My name is Sydney Geisinger, and I created the animation Our Bare Bones for the Irwin exhibition this year. My more recent works have focused on different instances of societal failures that really just come from living within structures that don't accurately represent, protect, or care for a vast majority of our population. The pandemic has only served to exacerbate these types of issues like systemic racism, patriarchy, poverty, access to education and healthcare. And since it's not possible to exist outside of the systems that a lot of us are critiquing in this exhibition, I just want to stress how much we all need to work to understand our roles in them to be able to change them for the better, which requires a lot of communication and a lot of empathy. So for the Irwin exhibition, I wanted to turn towards the positive and remind us of one of the core aspects of human nature that could give us a lot of hope for our efforts to change, which is our need for communication and connection and willingness to give so much of ourselves to our communities. As we look ahead to making better organizational systems, we can root ourselves to these similarities and use the common ground to praise our differences and make life more equitable for everyone. I also want to thank my amazing family. I couldn't imagine a better support system, and I'm so privileged and lucky to have everyone in my life. I also wanted to thank my professors, L.A. Anderson, for seeing something in me and nominating me for this insane opportunity, and D. Herbert Jones for helping me through this process so much and being a great mentor. And of course, everyone who worked on the show and everyone that's in it. I'm so honored to be represented here amongst this amazing group of people, and the Irwins for their continued generosity in giving upcoming art students the support that we need to be able to pursue our work. So with that, I will introduce the next incredible artist, Zoe Forsyth.
Thank you so much, Sydney. I'm going to try really hard not to cry, but it's inevitable. So here we go. I am so grateful to have had this opportunity to be part of an art show, especially in the midst of this pandemic. The Irwin Scholarship has really inspired me to stay motivated and continue creating and pursuing art. I'll talk a little bit about my art, and then I'll dive into my thank yous. My artwork was entitled Sticky Dark Red Bloody Yarn, which was a photograph performance art series coupled with an oil painting. You may recall imagery of body parts enveloped in yarn weighed down by material that weighs close to nothing, a concept that broadly relates to the ways in which our internalized struggles are stuck to us, move with us, and become a part of our inner workings, like our sticky dark red blood. I think the materialization of those feelings was particularly applicable to COVID times. What we have all gone through this past year will remain a part of us as we continue to move forward back to normal, or rather continue to adapt to a new normal. All of my art is influenced by the people around me, especially those who have supported me these past 4 years in college. I would not be able to produce the content that I do without their inspiration and acceptance of my creative process. They are ingrained into every piece of my art that I make. I first want to thank the wonderful Katie Lamont and Bella Bobrow, who photographed the performance art series. Katie somehow managed to capture the coolest double exposures with the oldest, jankiest film camera that only her beautiful brain knows how to operate. Bella's photography has been a huge inspiration to me. My past 4 years of college and our artistic pursuits together have profoundly developed my art into what it is today. A big thank you to my fellow Irwin scholar, Lou Gold, for being my constant tech support and for being a lovely friend to me throughout this whole process. Osman Abib, a photographer, collaborator, and supporter of my art. Thank you to my past and present housemates, Sophia, Katie, Bella, Benji, Chris, Haley, and Dave, for putting up with 4 years of my art-making weirdness in our small shared spaces. D. Hibbert Jones, Melissa Gwen, and Jennifer Parker, thank you for making time to critique my work in your free time and inspiring me with your own art achievements and pools of knowledge. Thank you, Bruce, for teaching me how to weld and making me feel so comfortable while doing so, a skill I never imagined I would develop. The biggest thank you to the entire art department for making these past 4 years of college so fruitful, fun, and fulfilling. Thank you to my wonderful family for helping me achieve my goals and dreams with art and everything else. Louise, Shelby, and Colleen for all of their hard work that went into making the Irwin Show possible and for being so kind and supportive throughout the process. My fellow Irwin scholars who were so present and communicative even in our remote settings. And a huge thank you, of course, to the Irwin family for giving us the scholarship and supporting the arts. The culmination of all these people and places, especially the art department, have developed me into the person and artist I am today, and I will forever be grateful for that. And now I'm extremely excited to introduce some of the artist videos.
Open the window.
Why'd you open the window?
I opened the window because you farted.
No, I didn't.
You did.
No.
No, you fucking liar. Yes, you.
Grace, how are you? My loneliness is killing me, and I must confess, I still believe, when I'm not with you, I lose my mind. Give me a sign, hit me, baby, one more time.
Notice the difference in air quality? This is somewhat unrelated, I'm sorry.
Well, I got back a couple days before the fire.
Let's fight just to keep them alive.
I am the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight. The tiger. Hey, I'm excited. It's over. Stop it.
And it's not, I thought it'd be different colors.
Why?
Now, 12 long hours before the sun will rise and drive them back to darkness.
As this year's winner of the university-wide competition for the Koha Gunderson Speculative Futures Prize in Art, I would like to invite everyone to reflect on the meaning and importance of creativity and the opportunities that arise when directing visual energy into reality. Reimagining our physical, mental, and virtual environment creates a sensory-induced experience in which the imagery presented and the imagery imagined coexist, merging into an alternative present. Imagine your visual world fading in and out of paradigms where time and space are irrelevant and where your peripheral vision is expanded beyond its capabilities. Deep Sea Chloral 2 is a multimedia project featuring curated archives from nearly 20 years of deep sea exploration of ancient denizens of the deep. Where does the line between the past, present, and future blur? How can we create a moment to alter our understanding of a subject based on contextualized imagery? Thinking beyond our visual field requires imagination, speculation of how and why someone's environment creates alternative paradigms. The present series Deep Sea Coral 2 reimagines the deep sea dives as an opportunity to visualize the abstract nature of the ocean. Utilizing archives from submersible equipment and photography recreates scenes. Digitally enhancing the imagery allows the viewer to experience those opportunities of coming into close contact with creatures of the sea. Coral and their varied environments tell us a story through chemicals accumulated through time in their protein-based branches. What can these findings tell us? Access to these archives presented a way to look into a future environment not yet explored. We could begin to think of our ocean's vastness as a parallel to the subconscious and the infinite possibilities coexisting in alternative perspectives.
Wow, thank you. Thank you all so much. And thank you to the artist videos. Those were incredible. I just wanted to thank the Irwin Scholars for making my job alive. Many of you mentioned that you were making art to save your lives during the pandemic. And I want to thank you for your concern for humanity and to help us see a better future. We're so proud of you and your work. And I wanted to mention that we created a catalog and a printed catalog, and we'll be ready by graduation. And let us know if you want to order more. Each scholar will get 2 catalogs. And anyway, we're really proud of that. And I just wanted to say this will be my last Irwin Scholars reception as a host. Since I'm, after 22 years, I'll be retiring and as a gallery director of the Mary Porter Sesnon Art Gallery. So I just wanted to let you know I'm going to come back as a attendee and always support your work, and know that you can always call on us for help. But you've really helped us break down the gallery walls here. This pandemic has presented challenges, and this opportunity to create virtual space with all you has been really fantastic. I want to thank you for the time you've spent working, with all the Sesnon gallery staff, and also you helped us broaden our horizons. I also want to thank the Arts Division for supporting the Sesnon Gallery during this pandemic. We've launched 5 virtual models. We started a Sesnon Speak Up series, and the gallery has an exciting lineup for next year. We're in good shape. Everything is in good shape, and for the next generation. So please stay connected, and I love you all. So hang in there and send us emails anytime. Take care. You can turn your cameras on, or we're all going to fade away here in a moment. Yay. Yay. And let's do a round of applause to unmute yourself. We tried to do that earlier, but it didn't work. Yeah. I know, I love it. Very good. Oh, there's the party. Yeah.
We'll be over.
That's so great. So we'll see you all at our next session, and take care.